Stress, sugar, and inflammation. That must mean the holidays are coming. Well, for some of you, the holidays probably started around October 31st, and they're going to end somewhere around January 2nd. Sound familiar? Well, tonight we want to teach you how to not let this happen, how to not lose our health over the next 3 months, so we don't have to make a New Year's resolution not to do that again. So tonight we're really going to be talking about the effects of stress on our blood sugar levels, what sugar does to our body, and why is inflammation so bad. Now, at Maxliving, we are on a mission to really empower my community, empower my patients to live a lifestyle that's congruent with how God created every single one of us, which means prescription-free, which means living the life that you want with purpose and allowing you to live the life you want without your health getting in the way of you being able to do the things you want to do. And that really is our mission through Maxliving across the United States, Puerto Rico, and Canada. We're all on the same mission because we know what healthcare is doing, and we don't like it because it's not real true healthcare. It's really sick care. Wait for you to get sick and then treat it with medication care when you are supposed to be healthy. Now, like I said, that holiday season for some of us really starts around Halloween. It doesn't end until January 2nd. So that's about 1/6 of your life, of your year, you're spending in the holiday season, doing things, eating things that we shouldn't be doing, drinking more than we should, stressing out more than we should. Now, if you were to add in parties and vacations and celebrations and other holidays throughout the year, it's been said that the average American is going to spend 1/4 of their year eating, drinking, and living in opposition to their normal diet. And what is that normal diet? I sure hope it's not the standard American diet, which is also called the SAD diet, because that is what it is. It creates nothing but disease. Now, excessive caloric intake during the holiday season causes weight gain during the holidays. Yes, we understand that. But that holiday indulgence combined with a lack of exercise, because we're doing so many other things, can really create a dangerous storm for our health. As a matter of fact, one study found that during the holidays, people gain about 500% more weight per week than their average week. So how do we avoid this trend? Well, instead of getting wrapped up in the same pattern of gaining weight during the holidays, setting a New Year's resolution for weight loss, why don't we practice some of the tips that you're going to learn here today on how to never let that happen in the first place? Now, that's standard American lifestyle. So here's the thing. Our diet has changed dramatically, both in the ways foods are consumed and prepared over the last 30, 40, 50 years. Now, traditionally, the American diet was simple. It was homemade, composed of minimally refined ingredients, and really it required some effort to produce. But now our diet is commercially engineered, refined, high in added sugars and unhealthy fats, and requires minimal effort to process and consume. It's called fast food. We want it now, we want it quick, we want it easy because we're so darn busy. I get that. But you're adding sugar and fatty foods with empty calories to our diet. And unfortunately, right now it says that the sugar, the bad fats, the empty calories are making up 40% of the average American daily caloric intake. Portion sizes have grown dramatically over the past 40 years. I mean, today, Americans consume an average of 300 more calories per day than they did just in 1985. That was not all that long ago. And because of soil depletion and how crops are grown over the last decades, our foods are less rich in nutrients. They are depleted soils. So what we used to have all these nutrients in, kale and bananas, all these things, they are barely there anymore, which is why taking a multivitamin is such a good idea. And our diet is energy dense, which means calorie dense. But if we're moving less than ever, we don't need all that energy, which means that we have too many calories. We're not burning those calories, which is why the result is 71% of Americans are overweight or obese. That's almost 3/4 of our country are either overweight or obese. And that's absolutely ridiculous. But those are our choices. We've made that choice to eat that way. Well, you can make a different choice. Because as a Maxliving doctor, we know in our practice that nutrition, it matters. What you put in your body matters. It's either going to create health or create disease. Every decision that you make on a daily basis, every decision is either going to create health or create disease. My job is to help people make better choices. The more choices that you make on a consistent basis that create health and less that create disease, the healthier you're going to be. And we do that through these things right here. Nutrition is important. We need to eat better food. toxicity is a problem. We need to know where toxins are and how to remove them. Oxygen is absolutely crucial to removing inflammation from our body, preventing cancer, and having our brain function properly. A healthy mindset is vital, but also a balanced nervous system is really the foundation of the whole thing. And most people, when I ask them about what they need to do to be healthy, they get, I need to eat better, toxins are bad, we get that, I don't exercise enough, or I have a bad attitude, or I'm really just stressed out. People understand that. And people know that they're supposed to make those changes. But the one thing they don't realize is a balanced nervous system really is the foundation of all health. So without proper function from the body, from the inside out, nothing else matters. I mean, what controls all functions in your body? It is the brain nervous system. That is your central nervous system. And your body needs no help from the outside. What it does need is no interference, because God created us to be healthy. Without interference along those nerves, the body's going to do exactly what it was designed to do, and you would be healthy, like we're all supposed to be. But when we get interference, it blocks our body's ability to heal itself. And that's what causes disease and dysfunction. And there's really 3 types of stresses or interference. We have physical stress. And physical stress is some of the easy ones to understand, like you're in a car accident, trips, traumas, falls. Those are or poor posture, looking at texting your friends and looking down all the time. What does that do? It puts a physical stress on your spine, can cause subluxation, put pressure on those nerves, choke off life to your body. We also have emotional stress. And that's easy for us to all relate to, especially right now. Just being around, just being alive for the last 2 years, I think is enough stress for all of us for a lifetime. But, that emotional stress causes us to tense up, and those muscles are attached to bones. Those muscles can pull bones out of place, put pressure on those nerves. And then we have chemical interferences. If you're taking medications, that's interfering with your body's ability to do what it's supposed to do, because your body just wants to be in a normal state, which is a state of homeostasis. It's a big word for balance. And when you're putting chemicals in there to create homeostasis, it's not the same. I mean, things from excessive alcohol to medication to environmental pollution to additives in your food. Those are all sources of chemical interference. And all 3 of these things we need to pay attention to and do our best to mitigate the causes of these stresses and the results from these stresses. But tonight we're really going to be focusing on blood sugar and stress. Now, sugar, they call this the silent killer. And the reason being is that it's in a lot of places that people don't realize. Now, diabetes is a serious disease, but it can often be managed through physical activity, diet, and the appropriate control of blood sugar levels. Now, people with diabetes are at an increased risk of serious health complications, including, premature death, vision loss, heart disease, stroke, kidney failure, amputation of toes, feet, neuritis. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that can go bad. Diabetes does not mean you just have to put a shot in your arm or in your belly and continue to eat the way you were eating. So not only does a high sugar intake increase one's risk for diabetes, but look at all the other things too much sugar in your diet can do. Yes, if we have too much sugar, weight gain, that's an obvious one, right? Too much sugar causes weight gain. It's probably the #1 reason why we are so overweight, too much sugar. It can also cause heart disease because too much sugar leads to inflammation. Inflammation is what leads to heart disease. It also leads to diabetes when it's uncontrolled. Too much sugar in your cells also leads to cancer. As you're going to learn here tonight, depression, low energy levels, acne, skin and cellular aging, even fatty liver disease is all because we have way too much sugar in our diet. And listen, if you like sugar, it's not your fault that you keep eating it. You can't break your habit because the addiction centers of our brain. Listen, studies have shown that sugar is biologically addictive. In fact, it's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. And it can wreak havoc on your hormones, your metabolism, lead to diabetes, obesity we just talked about. But the good news is you can break this dangerous addiction. Now, the more sugar you eat, the more you're going to crave sugar. And the more you're going to crash and just feel like crap. And you're going to be overweight and just sluggish, and then you need your sugar. It's a bad cycle to get into. But it only takes 10 days to detox from sugar. So you need to make a decision. Decide to break your sugar addiction and cut out all sugars out of your diet for 10 days. Watch what happens. I've done this many times. We're going to talk about this here in a little bit. Our advanced plan is really cutting out all the sugars and the hidden sugars. And when you do that, if you've been addicted to sugar or been eating sugar a lot for years, those first 10 days are not going to be that fun because your body's searching for sugar. You're going to be more tired. You're going to be irritable. You might even get a headache because your body's so addicted to this sugar. And then one day it changes. Your body realizes it's not getting the sugar back, so it has to create energy, and it uses fat for energy. That's what the keto diet is all about, changing your way you metabolize your fat. You burn fat for energy, and all of a sudden, you flip a switch, going from a carb burner to a fat burner. The day you do that, you will know it because you will feel better. You will have all this energy. I can't tell you how many patients over the last 15 years have told me, I knew the day when it happened, because I cleaned my house at 11:30 at night. That's what I hear a lot of. But you're going to have more energy. You're going to have fewer cravings. And the further you get away from all that sugar, the less you're actually going to want it. Now, people are like, well, we need sugar. Our body needs sugar, right? Well, yeah, our body does need carbohydrates and it does need sugar to function perfectly. But we have other ways of making fuel. And like I said, I was talking about fat. But when you have too much sugar, it really does become a toxin. But it's really the extraordinary amounts that we're exposed to when we eat. So listen, 1/3 of dietary sugar in the United States comes from soft drinks, making soda the #1 dietary source of sugar. The American public, so Americans average about 55 gallons of soda per year, consuming 55 gallons of soda every single year. That's ridiculous. Now, high fructose corn syrup, which you may have heard of before, and you probably know it's not good for you. High fructose corn syrup has increased from 0% of American diets in 1966 to the average American in 2001 eating 63 pounds of it. And what's interesting is if you get Coke in the United States, it's high fructose corn syrup, which is really, really high in sugar, very easily metabolized and super duper bad for you. If you were to go to Mexico and get Coca-Cola, there is not any high fructose corn syrup in it. They use cane sugar, which is a lot better version than the high fructose corn syrup because it's not as sweet, not as much sugar. And the thing is, you can only taste so much sugar. Any sugar over a certain threshold is really just causing diabetes and causing problems. You don't need all that extra sugar. Now, I've been talking about how bad sugar is, and here's the thing: I hear this all the time. Doc, I don't use sugar. I don't eat sugar. I don't have any sugar in my house. But then they're eating Cheerios and they're eating dark chocolate and they're eating mangoes and they're eating all these other things that people just don't realize are full of sugar. So here's the thing. People say, well, if it came from God, right? You know, honey is good for you. Mangoes are good for you. Well, yes and no. In moderation, they can be good for you. But the problem, again, is we eat too much of it. This is why drinking orange juice is not a good idea, because the amount of juice you get out of the amount of juice you get out of one orange, it'd probably take about 10 oranges to make 1 glass of orange juice. When's the last time you ever sat down and ate 10 glasses of oranges or 10 oranges, right? Never is going to happen because you would be full because of all the fiber. Once you pull the fiber out and just have the juice, all you're drinking is sugar water. It's not even really that good for you. So here's some things that we went through. I have a whole list here of candies and drinks. So just some eye openers here for you. Coca-Cola, 7.25 teaspoons of sugar in 1 can. Sprite, 7.61. So there's actually more sugar in Sprite than there is in Coke. I don't think I need to go through the candy bars because they're all bad, right? Cereals, Corn Flakes has 2 teaspoons. Raisin Bran has 6 teaspoons. Frosted Flake has 7. Honey Smacks, 11. All right, what about mangoes have 3. Bananas have 2.5. Apples have 2. Grapes have 3. So again, because you're eating fruit doesn't necessarily mean you're not eating sugar. You're still getting sugar. Yes, it's a better sugar than the high fructose corn syrup, but you can't sit there and eat a whole thing of grapes and thinking that you're doing something great for you because there's still too much fructose. And sugar goes by over 50 different names. And what I want you to do is memorize every single name, right? That would be a little bit crazy. But when you start reading labels, you start to recognize things. Anything that ends with ose, dextrose, fructose, galactose, glucose, lactose, maltose, sucrose, those are all sugars. Those are your basics. Those are the ones on the top left of that screen right there. But of course, you have cane juice and cane sugar. Anything that says sugar obviously is going to be sugar. So even if it's coconut sugar, it's still going to be not great for it because it's sugar. But there's things in there like malt, dextrin, sucanat, where else? Barley. Anything from grains is going to be sugar also. So even if you're eating rice, even if you're eating brown rice, guess what? That's still a carbohydrate. And a carbohydrate is broken down into what? Sugar in your body. Now, brown rice is better than white rice because it breaks down slower, so it's better for your digestive system. But if you're trying to lose weight, if you are diabetic, if you have cancer, you don't want heart disease, reducing inflammation, all the things we talked about in the beginning, you don't want those things to happen. This is why you need to be on that advanced plan, because it removes all these sources of carbohydrates. Now, we talked about inflammation. Sugar fuels inflammation. I mean, every doctor knows this. And eating too much sugar can also increase it to the point where we can have occluded arteries, high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer, digestive issues, even organ failure. And the crazy thing here is that this is something that you can control through diet and lifestyle. You don't need a doctor to reduce inflammation. You don't need a doctor to reduce these things. You just need to change how you're eating. Listen, and some people say, well, it's in my genes. No, 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 it's not in your genes. Your genetic code has not already been written for your destiny. Listen, it's time for you to take an active role in your life, in your health journey, because in my office, we say it right on our front door, you need to choose to live better. Because health, you're supposed to be healthy, but sometimes it's not that easy to stay healthy. It takes some effort, it takes some work, it takes some knowledge, and that is our number one goal. We just want you to want to be healthy, and let us help you make those decisions on what you need to do to stay healthy. Now, some people ask me, well, what about artificial sweeteners, right? Because they must be better for you because they don't affect your blood sugar level. The problem here is that that is not true. Well, it is true, the fact they don't affect your blood sugar level, but they are artificially created in a lab. I mean, sucralose, which is also called Splenda. It's probably the most common artificial sweetener I see right now, and everybody thinks it's fine. Everybody thinks it's good because it's called sucralose. Sounds a lot like sucrose. Well, through their chemical reactions, they took sugar and they ended up with an extra chlorine atom on the end of it, which made it sucralose. So you're basically eating chlorinated sugar. Chlorine is a toxin. It's not good for us. So all these artificial sweeteners, multiple issues with them, besides the fact that they're chemicals, they're also, and this has been with Diet Coke. Diet Coke is not sweetened with sugar, it's sweetened with an artificial sweetener. You fill up your belly with this, your body's going, okay, I got a whole bunch of calories in there. Wait, I didn't get any calories. I just filled my stomach up with something that was sweet and had no calories. Well, guess what that's going to make you? Hungry. There's study after study that showed that when people are drinking diet sodas, they actually gain weight because you're filling yourself with something and you're tricking your body into thinking it's been fed, and it hasn't, so it needs more. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to look at all this through what we call the 5 essential approach. So we talked about the foundation is your nervous system, right? And this is where core chiropractic comes in to make sure that your nervous system's free of interference, because without the interference, it doesn't matter how you eat. Then we start to look at proper nutrition, the mindset behind it. Why do we want to be healthy? Getting oxygen to our cells and minimizing our exposure to toxins. So this is probably my favorite slide, because this is one you're going to want to write down, because I feel like this is one that really is one of those slides with those tips that we're actually going to use and do. So people ask, well, how do you ever go out to dinner parties? And, we have all these social events, especially in the holidays, lots of potluck dinners. So a couple of different things you can do here. My favorite is I never go to an event hungry. I always eat before I go, because think about it. Unless you know everybody that's going to be there and they're all on board with Maxliving and eating healthy, they're probably not going to be very healthy choices, right? So I always eat before I go, so I'm not hungry when I get there. The other thing I like to do is I like to bring a healthy dish. One, I like to show people that, we eat healthy, but also that healthy food does taste good. So people are always asking me for the recipe. I'm like, this is awesome, because now I'm spreading good cheer, I guess. But I want people to be healthy. Now, focusing on activities. So when you're going to these events, focus on the activities instead of hanging out and lingering by the food table. That only gets anybody in trouble. I love this one. Have a conversation. You can't put food in your mouth if you're using it to talk, right? Well, you could, that'd just be rude. planning ahead and bringing a healthy dish. So sometimes, listen, if you have family members that are not on board with eating healthy and you're hosting, you know what you could do? You could tell them exactly what to bring. You could send the recipe to them and have them bring those recipes. Just say, hey, we're trying something new this year. Can you bring this? And here's the recipe. Or sometimes, hey, just make it all yourself because you know what's going to be in it and you trust all of that. I mean, I've done all these different things. There's different ways of doing it, but you can still be healthy and still be able to socialize and have fun. So if sugar is so bad, then why can we use it as a sweetener? What can we use? Wait, what did I say? And what can we use? Okay, I'm doing well. What can we use as a sweetener? Well, some people say, well, honey and dates and maple syrup, agave syrup, those are natural sweeteners. Yes, they are. However, are they going to spike your blood sugar level because there's sugar in it? The answer is yes. So what does that mean? Extreme moderation. So if you want to use something that makes your food sweet, taste good, and not affect your inflammation levels and your blood sugar levels, stevia is probably one of the best things out there. Now, if you guys have ever used stevia, you'll probably all had the same kind of story where we ruined something the first time we used it because we used way too much because you're like, that little bit can't be enough. Yeah, so tiny little bit goes a long way when it comes to stevia. My favorite sweetener is actually xylitol or erythritol, and those are sugar alcohols. So again, those are good in moderation. You don't want to use a ton of them because they can definitely cause gastrointestinal distress, but they taste more like sugar, and it's a lot easier not to mess it up. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. So cup of sugar, cup of xylitol. Monk fruit's another one of those things that you can use that doesn't really affect your blood sugar all that much. So that's what you should be using instead of your typical sugars or even your artificial sweeteners. Now, when it comes to anti-inflammatory, reducing inflammation, your diet has a lot to do with that. And we have 2 plans in my office, and they are both really anti-inflammatory diets. They're whole food, plant-based, high-quality meat diet with healthy fats. So if you don't know anything about our diets, I'm only going to go over it for a couple minutes here. Make sure you go to our Food 101 workshop on our YouTube channel, because it's an hour in depth about the basics of proper nutrition. But our nutrition plan, so you have your core plan and then you have what's called our advanced plan. The core plan, I really feel like, is a great start for most people. It's a great maintenance place to maintain your health and inflammation. It's great for families because you're not making huge changes. What you're doing is eating more healthy fats like olive oil and coconut oil and avocado oil and grass-fed butter. You're actually changing the quality of the meats that you use. So if it's beef, it needs to be grass-fed. If it's going to be chicken, it needs to be organic. And then if it's fish, it needs to be wild-caught. If you're going to be eating grains, you really want whole grains and ancient grains like Ezekiel bread. And then a variety of fruits and vegetables. That should be everybody's just baseline for proper nutrition inside their house. Now, for those that are looking for short-term dedicated diet to lose weight or minimize interference from disease or detoxification, gain additional support for cognitive, metabolic, and immune health, for this goal, it really does work as like a long-term solution, but it's the advanced plan. And the advanced plan is take your core plan, and we're going to make a few small changes to it. We're going to add more fat while eliminating all damaged fats. Again, same thing with the meats. We're going to add in good meats, maybe reduce the amount of protein that we're going to eat. But the big change here is eliminating all grains and all sugars. The only thing that you're allowed, so we're not, no grains. I don't care if it's brown rice, no brown rices, no potatoes. So we're really removing all the grains, all the sugars. You are allowed some fruit in moderation. We're looking really for berries, green apples, and grapefruit. So those are some of the lowest sugar fruits. Now, and strawberries are a little bit high on that, but listen, if I'm telling you you're allowed to have some of those, that doesn't mean, eat 2 pints of blueberries every day. That's going to be too much sugar. So again, moderation when it comes to those sugars. So those are the differences. And if you made those changes, you can absolutely reduce the inflammation in your body that's leading to heart disease and cancer, type 2 diabetes, being overweight, being depressed, being fatigued. You can make these changes. But again, you need to make that choice. You need to choose to live better. Now, here's something that's very important for everybody to do all the time. And this is something that it's not hard to do. And it is a reason why a lot of people gain weight at night or don't sleep very well, is because they snack after dinner. It's very important. So your digestive system has two jobs. One is to digest your food. The other is to help detox your body from toxins in the blood. And in order for it to start to detox, it needs a break from digesting. In order for it to actually be a detox organ, you need to give your body 12 hours of not eating anything. So it sounds like a long time until I tell you this. If you eat dinner at 7 p.m., you shouldn't put anything but water in your belly until 7 a.m. That's not that hard to do, right? And then what you're supposed to do is eat what meal? Breakfast. Say it a little slower, split it up, break fast. Okay, so the reason why it's called breakfast is because you're breaking your fast. And one of the best ways to break your fast is with high quality protein. You could do cage-free eggs. I'm a huge egg fan. I'll eat them every once in a while, but what I really like to do is drink a smoothie for breakfast, if I'm going to eat breakfast at all. Some people we've talked to about this in the past, something called intermittent fasting. That's something that you can do forever. It's something you can do a shorter amount of time, where you skip breakfast and don't have a meal until 14 or 16 hours after your last meal. You're actually fasting for like 16 to 18 hours a day and having a 4 to 6 hour window of eating. It's actually not that hard to do, and it's very, very effective for resetting some of your insulin receptors and helping you lose weight and just get your life back. But when you break your fast, whether it's a breakfast or a lunch to break your fast, high quality protein is very important. And we actually have 3 to choose from. I know there's a lot of other proteins out there, but not every protein is the same. We have what's called Pure Path protein, which is it helps build muscle and strengthen your joints, with 21 grams of concentrated hydro beef protein, which is actually derived from bone broth. So it's high in collagen. So it's very good for digestive issues, but also helping reduce inflammation. Again, it can do things like improve muscle strength, lean body mass, increase exercise performance. It nourishes the skin with bioavailable collagen peptides, and it helps boost dietary protein intake. We also have your typical grass-fed whey protein. And the good news is, again, it's coming from a cow, so it needs to be what? Grass-fed. The good news about all of my proteins, there's no sugars in these. It's all sweetened with stevia, and they did it right. It tastes good. If you ever had one, if you've never had one, let us know. We could probably get you a sample to try, because it tastes that great. But our grass-fed whey proteins, chocolate or vanilla, loaded with 18 essential and conditional and non-essential amino acids. Again, this helps boost the metabolism, increase athletic performance. It also helps digest food and detoxify. And I really feel like it helps losing weight. When I do my intermittent fasting plans and I don't use the grass-fed whey protein, I don't get the same results. When I use the grass-fed whey protein, I get much, much better results when it comes to getting stuff out of my body, especially the inflammation. Now, there are some people here who do not tolerate dairy at all, or are vegan or vegetarian, and they don't want that. So they would go towards our perfect plant protein. And that combines pea protein, hemp protein, for a complete source of 100% plant-based protein powder. And again, similar things. He's got 15 grams of protein. Any of these would work just fine. So starting your day, breaking your fast with high quality protein is a great idea. The other thing you could do as a staple is really adding in what we call the daily essentials. And we have a women's and we have a men's, but this has made life so much easier when it comes to taking vitamins. Now, when I have patients come in and say, hey, listen, I can only afford to take 1 or 2 vitamins, what are they? I'm always going to revert to vitamin D3 with the probiotics and the optimal omega fish oil, because we do not eat enough fish. We do not get outside enough. And without vitamin D and fish oil, the brain doesn't work very well. Your immune system doesn't work very well. So those are very, very, very important. If you can handle it and you can do this, the best way to do this is to take the women's or men's essential packs. So there's 30 packs in each of these boxes. You just open one up, take it, and you're done for the whole day. Now, the men's has the men's multivitamin, the women's has the women's, and there's a whole bunch of other awesome things in those multivitamins. Like for women, it's breast health, hair, nail, and skin health, and stress management. Men's is reducing inflammation, antioxidant, prostate health, and I guess it's like sexual vigor, different, I guess, nutrients in there for that. So you have your multivitamins, but then you also have your B complex, and it's a delayed release B complex, and it's It's got all your B vitamins. It's got methylated B12, which is very important for energy. But all of these are going to help enhance cognitive function, cardiovascular health, immunity. The Optimal Omega is your fish oil, which reduces inflammation and helps to coat the nerves so the nerves can function properly. It's got your vitamin D3, and the vitamin D3 is 5,000 international units, but it also has 10 billion CFUs of probiotics. So you actually get both in there. It also has a prebiotic, which is going to be helpful for the probiotics to survive. And the reason why we put those things together is that when you take a probiotic with a vitamin D3, it actually helps the absorbability of that vitamin D3. And D3 is, of course, critical for healthy bones, joints, and skin, but it's also very important for your immune system to function properly. If your immune system is deprived, D3, they say we're going into what they call the flu season. And the flu season is nothing more to me than not enough sun, so D3 depletion, not enough exercise, too much sugar, and too much stress. You do those 4 things, now our immune system becomes depressed, and now you become a haven for disease. If you keep those things up, take your D3, exercise, reduce your stress, those things are going to go away. They're not going to ever happen to you. The last thing in these packets is the magnesium glycinate, and that's a highly bioavailable form of magnesium. It's gentle in the stomach, so it's not going to make you go to the bathroom like citrate would. It increases the effectivity, is that even a word? And health benefits. So magnesium is like one of those essential minerals needed for just about everything in your body. It also helps to fight inflammation and disease. So that's a great just staple for you to take every morning. Now, we talked about interference. We talked about physical interference. So that's your subluxation. We're talking about now emotional interference. And numerous foods can actually sabotage your happiness and well-being. But sugar is probably the most jeopardizing of those things. One review of numerous studies confirmed that sugar has an adverse effect on long-term psychological health, including depression and anxiety. And these researchers have actually identified a parallel between increased sugar intake and mood disorders. So what they're saying is excessive sugar consumption will cause neurobiological brain function change, which will alter emotional states and behaviors. That's a lot of words, a lot of big words. Basically what it's saying is you eat too much sugar, it can cause psychological and emotional disorders like depression, anxiety. So again, get rid of the sugar and watch you become happier. It's pretty amazing stuff. Now, entering into the holidays, I read a study that said, 38% of people are more stressed during the holidays. I'm like, where did they do this interview? I think it's like just about everybody, right? I mean, although the holidays are supposed to be filled with joy, love, fun, family, right? Yet we're all focused on shopping and party and finances and guests and cleaning the house and getting ready for this and did we buy enough for this and all this other stuff. So all this stress, I think that 38 is very conservative. I think it's like 50 or 60% of people are way more stressed during the holidays. And what does stress do to you? Stress actually decreases your immune system and it can raise and increase your blood sugar level. So hormones such as glucagon and cortisol are actually secreted during stress. Both of those cause your blood sugar levels to rise. One study actually showed that exercise, relaxation, and meditation significantly reduced stress, lowered blood sugar levels for these students that were in this study. So yoga, mindfulness-based stress reduction can actually correct insulin secretion problems in chronic diabetics. Pretty cool. So as we go into this stressful period, we need to manage our stress, right? Well, whatever you focus on gets bigger, right? It grows. So do we want to focus on our stress or do we rather focus on our peace? Yeah, I'd rather just focus on our peace. And no matter what stress you're facing, it doesn't have to be destructive to your body. We focus on peace management rather than focus on stress management. So how do we do that? Here's some peace managing techniques. How about this one? Simplify your schedule. It's okay to say no to things. It really is. Listen, I have major FOMO. I was a firstborn. I never want to miss anything. Yet I know if I say yes to every little thing, I would become overwhelmed. It won't be fun for me. And health might actually take a hit. So simplify your schedule. Say no to things. It's okay. You don't have to do everything. You do that by reviewing your calendar the week ahead, look at your to-do list, actually use a to-do list that takes things out of your brain and puts it on paper so you can actually get rest at night. That's important. That's peaceful. Breathe. Relax. Make a conscious effort to deepen and slow down your breathing. Exercise. Physical activity is actually a natural stress buster, especially when you exercise the way we do it with the Max T3. It actually lowers cortisol levels. That's very important for lowering your stress and lowering your blood sugar levels. You can do yoga or meditation. That's important. Getting plenty of sleep. Chronic sleep deprivation actually contributes to high blood pressure. And then we're talking about not just plenty of sleep, but not just quantity, but quality. 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep is very important. I'm not sure what that's like anymore. Having 3 kids, every once in a while I get that 7 to 8 hours, but usually interrupted somewhere. So again, do the best you can. And then shifting your perspective, resisting the tendency to complain, acknowledge your feelings about the situation, then focus on finding solutions. I know Whitney just got back from camp and she was talking about just our mindset of certain things. Instead of being upset that we can't find the right person to fill a role in the office, we should be excited for the opportunity to find somebody. It's a completely different way. I mean, we could be upset that we're not finding anybody, or we can just be excited that we haven't found the right person yet because we were looking for that exact fit. So again, just changing your mind about certain situations can be a big time stress reducer. So exercise lowers blood glucose because your muscles need the glucose to perform the activity. So when you're exercising, you're actually burning off these sugars. It reduces stress, increases insulin sensitivity, which means if your body is more sensitive to insulin, it doesn't need to pump out as much insulin, which means you have a less chance of becoming type 2 diabetic. Pretty cool. So again, how do we do that? We do that with our Max T3 program. We work out 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes, 3 times a week. So 36 to 45 minutes a week is how much effort I put in, or time I say, into my exercise regimen. Now, those 12 to 15 minute workouts are not going to be easy, but it's only 12 to 15 minutes. And after one 12 to 15 minute workout, the way ours is set up, you will burn fat for 36 hours. Your cortisol level goes down. Insulin sensitivity is increased. That's a good thing. Human growth hormone goes up. Testosterone goes up. So now you're going to be burning fat. You're going to be building muscle. Very important. So if you have not been to the Max T3 website, I would highly suggest you go now. That's www.maxt3.com. If you're a patient, you should have gotten a bookmark when you started care here. It's got a code on it for you to get into your account. If you're not, you can always buy an account. I think it's like $9 or $19 for lifetime subscription. It's ridiculously underpriced for how good it is. And you just start. Don't sit there and watch people doing it and eat popcorn. You actually need to do the workouts too. Now, one of the things I hear too often is, I feel good, I must be healthy, right? But how many people do you know that have felt fine until they were diagnosed with a debilitating disease such as cancer? I mean, think about it. Most heart disease victims never feel heart disease building. You don't feel years of cancer cells building in your body. And chronic pain is actually a warning sign that something must be seriously wrong. So then what is health? So health is defined as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Is it possible to heal? If I cut my finger, what's my body always going to do to that cut? It's going to what? It's going to heal. But listen, you really need to define what it means to heal. And this is the most important thing we'll talk about today, because most people will miss this concept. And if you miss this, you'll end up treating your symptoms and never truly provide your body the opportunity to heal and recover. And some of you are probably saying, well, I don't need to heal. I don't have any problems. I'm healthy. And that mindset is exactly why you need to pay attention, like right now. When you judge your health by how you feel, you're forgetting that you don't always feel symptoms. Your body is designed to function at 100%. When you're at 100% vitality, you are full of life within the body. So if you're at 0% life, what are you? You're dead, right? Yeah. Now, here's the thing. We are designed to function at 100%, but it takes work to stay there. Most people don't even consider their health until they get what? They get a symptom. But that symptom doesn't happen right away. You lose function over time before you get a symptom. So you go from 100% function to 90, to 80, to 70, all the way down to 60, and boom, now you start getting a symptom. Now you think there's something wrong. Let's say it's a headache. What are we taught to take for a headache? Advil, Tylenol, I don't know what it is, right? Something like that. Does it actually fix the symptom, or does it just cover it up? It just covers it up. Did that move you towards getting curious about identifying the cause of the headache, or addressing the interference and restoring vitality within the body? No. All it did was cover things up so you can continue on your day doing nothing different. Now, the real definition of health has nothing to do with masking your symptoms, but it's everything to do with how your body functions and heals as close to 100% as possible. Now, feeling versus function, again, basing the way you live off of how you feel is the most dangerous way to live, because too many people feel good and they're building disease every day. You don't want to wait until you have that symptom to take care about it. Heart disease, cancer, and diabetes don't feel any different in the beginning. Health is all about function. Remember that. I had a patient today who said, my husband doesn't want to get care because he doesn't think it's for him because he feels fine. And, you know, it's not that big a deal. But I'm like, listen, it's not about how you feel. It's about how you function. If there's pressure on a nerve, can your body at the other end of that nerve function properly? The answer is no. So when do you want to start taking care of the function of your body? When it's too late or now? When would you want to know there was a nerve blocked to the heart of your child? When it's too late or yesterday? Right. Because remember, your nervous system controls every single function in your entire body, and maintaining a healthy, balanced central nervous system is the most critical thing to one's health and well-being, because your nervous system controls everything. As long as there's no pressure, no interference between your brain and your body's going to function exactly the way it was designed to function, and you would be healthy. But what use is the best food in the world if your body can't even digest it, absorb it, or assimilate it? If there's a subluxation, pressure on the nerve in that low back, and those nerves are going to your digestive system, I don't care how many supplements you're taking, you're never going to heal. It's not going to be about that. Right? We got to take pressure off those nerves. So what's the best thing that you as patients can do? Don't miss your visits. If you're in corrective care, do not miss your visits. Every visit builds on the one before to get the best results. If you're in maintenance care, you're coming in once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. Keep doing your home care, but keep consistent. Now, this is the part that's very important, especially now. Keep consistent with your visits, even when you are too stressed to come, or when you're feeling great. Those are the two things I see my patients making those big mistakes. It's just too busy. I'll see you in January. I'm like, listen, stress causes subluxations. Stress causes you to lose your immune system. We don't want to start over in January when you're already sick because you ignored your health. Times of greater stress need more maintenance, needs more care. I tell people this analogy. Listen, if you drove your car once a year to the gas station and back, how many times would you have to change the oil? Never. But then you have somebody who travels 500 miles every day back and forth to work. How often are they going to change their oil? What, once a month? The more you use it, the more stress you put on that engine, the more you need to maintain it. So when we are under more stress, whether it's physical, chemical, or emotional stress, you need to take take better care of your body. And you do that when you're being consistent with your supplements and your chiropractic care. But then I have people that say, well, I feel great. You fixed me, doc. I don't need to come back until it hurts. Those people, unfortunately, have missed the big picture here, because it's not about how you feel. It's about how you function. And by the time you feel function not working anymore, you're going to be in a bad place. So again, my job is just, again, help people make better decisions by keeping them consistent with their care and going back to the beginning where it talks about proper nutrition, moving toxins, exercising, have a healthy mindset, and removing subluxation so your nervous system can heal and function. So listen, I kept this short and sweet here tonight because, listen, I know you're all stressed. You're probably all trying to get ready for the holiday. But here's the most important thing. I'm glad you guys came here tonight. I hope you watched this. But please take something from this and take action. I know that you'll be happy you did. Thank you guys so much for coming.